today we are going to be taking you along our capstone journey and showing you how we have completed the final project. So right at the bat, we are starting off with reading the instructions and unboxing the given equipment. The main equipment includes obvious things like soldering materials, solder, flux, soldering iron, desoldering, brass wire sponge. Then we've got a regulated power supply, DC motor speed control, wire stripping tools, 220 volt power supplies, plugs and wires. Okay, let's begin. Here's Jenny explaining to me about the purpose of each material since she's the expert.
So now we are looking at the instruction sheet to check if any items that we have received are complete or not.
A few moments later.
And although there are given resistor values on the instructions, we brought in a multimeter just to be sure.
Because the value of the resistor may not always be the same, but being close may have an effect on the circuit.
Here is capstone 1 and the diagram of the circuit assembling.
It can be noticed that the PCB there are copper sides and sides that indicate the location of various electronic components such as resistors, transistors, capacitors, or diodes.
The thing about capstone 1 and 2 is that it includes the same components, which are resistors, trimmer potentiometer, electrolytic capacitors, transistors, and diodes. What is different about them though are values of the component, diagram where the components should be placed, and the connection it has with the other materials.
Where's the on button? อ๋อไม่มันแบบนี้ก็คือ on เลยเนาะ เย้อาจารย์ร้องไห้แล้วนะ Sorry ไม่ได้เข้าแลบนานค่ะแต่ไม่อยากเข้านะ
And here is some footage of us assembling the capstone. This is us soldering the resistor onto the capstone. For soldering, we melt the solder onto the components we want to connect, then distribute the solder evenly with a soldering iron. If you find yourself messing up, no worries. You can reheat the part you've messed up again and suck it out with the desoldering. The next footage shows a small part of when we were trying to connect the wires with the power supplies by soldering. But before that, we need to place the shrinking tube onto the outer parts of the wire. Here we are dabbing up some of the excess oils from the power supply. Now, continuing on soldering. When we are soldering the wires to the other components, we must first remove the outer parts of the tip of the wires and wire stripping tools. Then add a shrinking tube before we start soldering. After that, we slide the shrinking tube onto the parts we've soldered and heat it with a heat gun.
Actually, our technique is to solder the smallest to the largest components such as soldering diodes and resistors to attach the PCB and breaking the legs to lock the position before soldering precisely. Poke the vulture's head for 3 to 5 seconds, then bring the lid down and then cut off the excess leg to be beautiful.
On to quiz time and experimental results. The first requirement is that the output voltage need to be adjusted from 0 to 30 volts. Here are our results. The second requirement tells us to take the load at 1 ampere and the voltage ripple needs to be less than 3%, and here's the results. The third requirement asks us to show you using your power supply to capstone 2 for motor control. Here's our results. And for the last requirement, we are asked to show the output voltage waveform during the speed of the motor is changing. And here is what ours look like. As you can see, the values we obtain in the experiment might not be exactly like the requirements, and those may be two errors present within the experiment. Here's some clip of us taking the completed capstone for the TA to check.